Aw, animals. Who's a clever boy then? This dog proved he's smarter than your average pooch when he broke out of his kennel earlier this week and wandered off into the night. The 10-year-old Great Pyrenees named General was lodging at an animal hospital in Stafford, Virginia, while his owners went to Virginia Beach on vacation. And as you can see from the footage, perhaps he wanted out so he could go join them. At around 4:15 a.m. on Monday, General busted out of his temporary accommodation, then opened at least 4 different doors in his heroic bid for freedom. He'd been staying at the animal hospital for the previous 2 nights, but clearly had had enough. Here we see the 124-pound dog making his way down a hallway, then sniffing around an office area. If General looks familiar with the surroundings, his owner said that's because the clever canine had been visiting the hospital for the past 10 months. Finally, General uses his mouth to open a door that leads him outside to a parking lot. Then off he went into the night. Around 3 hours later, hospital staff discovered General was missing and called his owners. The search for the dog went on for most of Monday. He was eventually found at 9 p.m., around 17 hours after he went missing in action. General was sitting in the garden of a nearby home, happy to be in the great outdoors and out of his cage. The dog's owners cut short their vacation to search for the beloved pet, and they were eventually reunited. So who's a clever boy then? Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. These animals are seriously smarter than some people we know.
Clever dog grabs ball from water without getting wet.
Thanks, TomoNews.
Scientists discover bumblebees can learn and share tool use capabilities. Researchers at Queen Mary University of London studying bumblebees have made a scientific breakthrough, observing that the bees were able to learn and share information regarding the use of tools. In the series of experiments, the scientists placed 3 sugar-filled artificial flowers underneath a glass table, each tied to a string. Out of 110 bees put through the test, 2 managed to use the string as a rope to pull the flower out to get to the sugar. In another test, untrained bees were placed behind a transparent wall as they watched another bee retrieve the sugar. When put through the same conditions, 60% of the untrained bees were able to successfully navigate the experiment. Even after the trained bees had died, the learned skills remained in the colony. This research demonstrates that bee colonies may house more advanced cultures than previously understood, with the ability to pass on knowledge seen as a complex phenomena of social groups.
Enki the octopus escapes from an aquarium, back into the ocean. An octopus residing at the National Aquarium of New Zealand made a daring escape from its tank into the Pacific Ocean. After saying goodbye to his fellow tank mate, Enki the octopus decided to go on a journey of solitude. He slipped through a tiny gap left open by maintenance workers at the top of the tank and traveled 3 to 4 meters across the aquarium floor, leaving behind a trail of suction cup prints. Sensing freedom from a small drain pipe, Enki squeezed his body and legs into it and crawled 50 meters through the pipeline until he reached the ocean off Hawke's Bay. Staff members at the aquarium are now closely watching Enki's tank mate, the second octopus in residence since the escape.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
New research shows goats rival dogs in their ability to understand humans. Ever wondered what's going on inside the mind of a goat? Scientists in England have, and as it turns out, goats may be great at getting their point across to us, maybe even more so than man's best friend. The researchers from Queen Mary University of London put the goats at Buttercup's sanctuary through a series of experiments, one of which involved the goats having to retrieve a treat from a sealed container using a lever, a task previously used to measure intelligence in apes. When the goats were able to do this, the scientists then made it impossible for the lids to be opened, and the goats would instinctually stare at their humans in frustration, begging for help to get to their treat. You might recognize this reactionary gaze from your pet dog, who will be quick to make eyes with you to demonstrate a plea for help when their treat is stuck under a table or out of reach. Goats may be one of the only animals who, along with cats and dogs, share this ability to connect with humans in more nuanced forms of communication. The scientists aim for their research, published in the journal Biology Letters, to show the world how intelligent goats really are, with the hope that our newfound mutual respect for them may lead to better welfare practices for their care.
Scientists record dolphins in conversation for the first time. For decades, we've known that dolphins are one of the more intelligent species on the planet, but new research may reveal they share a level of communication similar to our own. At the Karadag Nature Reserve in Russian-held Crimea, researchers used an underwater microphone to record the speech patterns between two Black Sea bottlenose dolphins. Expressing themselves through a series of whistles and clicks, the dolphins were observed adjusting the volume and frequency of each pulse, forming individual words and sentences. The researchers also noticed the dolphins would take turns speaking, waiting for each other to finish their messaging without interruption, which may indicate they were listening. The subjects, Yasha and Yana, were found to create sentences of up to 5 words, though what the dolphins were talking about remains anyone's guess.